Hey there, McBIC. Yesterday, Pastor Jen talked to you about time, and today I want to talk about seasons. Now, I know in Pennsylvania, the concept of seasons is a little complicated. Last week, we had sunny days with temperatures in the 80s, and the weekend before that, we had snow flurries, all in the month of May. And yet, we still acknowledge that we are in the season of springtime, with the expectation that we will soon transition into summer. The trees in my backyard have erupted into green, and the flowers in front of my house are getting ready to bloom any day now. I've been using the word season a lot over the past couple months or so to describe this time period of quarantine that we're in. This time period of unknown length, really, that we hope is temporary and that we hope will eventually end soon. And then we will transition into a new season that follows. But for all of us, we are in a season of waiting. And for me, the season of waiting brings to mind three things. The first, if you have been on social media in the past couple weeks or so, is the candy challenge. Or you might be familiar with the Stanford marshmallow experiment. But basically, kids are sat down in front of a treat, whether it's a bowl of candy or a marshmallow, and they're told, if you can wait until the adult comes back, you can have some. And you can look up videos of the Stanford marshmallow experiment on YouTube to see how the kids in that study responded with varying degrees of patience. Some of them were able to sit and wait patiently until the adult came back and were able to enjoy the reward of a second marshmallow. Others weren't able to wait patiently at all and ate that first marshmallow before the adult, had gone too far away. But basically, it's a lot of sitting and waiting. The second thing that comes to mind is a story of the Israelites who didn't do a lot of sitting, but they did do a lot of waiting and wandering in the desert. They were also promised something. They were promised a land flowing with milk and honey, but there is a time period of waiting that had to happen first. Now, granted, during this season of waiting, they also did a lot of complaining, but in this season of waiting, God was with them. He dwelt in a temporary tent called a tabernacle that they would tear down and set up whenever God told them it was time to move on. But he gave them instructions on how to worship. Even in this season of uncertainty, of travel and waiting, a time where he didn't have a permanent place to dwell, but he still gave them instructions on how they could worship him in this season. The third thing that comes to mind is a song that I love called In the Waiting by Kina Grannis. And there are two lines in this song that I really enjoy. The first says, "Life is in the waiting." It brings to mind for me the flowers that are getting ready to bloom in my front yard. How even though I don't see any of the bright pink flowers quite yet, I can trust that there is still growth happening, that there is still life there. And if I wait just a little bit longer, I get to enjoy the flowers. Even in the seasons of winter where I don't see anything above ground, I can trust that there is still growth and life happening. And if I wait until spring comes around again, then I can enjoy the flowers. The second line that I enjoy in this song says, "How could I wish away all the in-between?" During this season of waiting, of quarantine, how many of us have said, "I just wish quarantine were over. I wish this were over. I wish things would go back to normal." But during this season, how many of us have also been able to enjoy new experiences? Quality time with family that maybe the busyness of life beforehand wouldn't afford us. Or even experiences with God that we haven't had before until now. Even for the Israelites, they had experiences that were unique to that season of waiting, that time of wandering in the desert where God provided for them miraculously, where he sent manna and quail and sent water flowing out of a rock. How many of those blessings would they have missed out on, and would we miss out on if things went back to normal just as we wished, if this season were over, if we wished away all the in between? And so during this season of waiting, where do you find yourselves? Are you like the kids in the experiment where it's just a lot of sitting and waiting? Or do you feel like the Israelites where maybe, there is some complaining, but you recognize that God is with you and that you have opportunities to worship Him? So I just want to encourage you with that God is with us. While we don't have a permanent worship place where we can go and be together and worship Him corporately, that we are still able to worship Him, that He still is among us, that it doesn't just have to be sitting and waiting for this season to be over, but that God is with us and that there is life in the waiting.